Hey guys, so I thought I might do another Linux distribution first impressions video, although this one of course is a little bit different on the count that it's not actually a Linux distribution but rather a BSD based distribution. This is PC BSD 10.3. So every now and then I give BSD a go on the desktop just to see where it is in relation to other Linux distributions. PCBSD, of course, is the most well-known desktop, sort of desktop version of BSD. So it kind of makes sense that this is sort of my go-to distribution. I know there are others out there that I might take a look at, but I'm not seriously looking to use a BSD as my daily driver. I'm just looking at it in terms of what alternatives there are in case Linux, for one reason or another, takes a turn that I don't agree with, or whether or not any of you guys might prefer the BSD license over the GNU GPL license, and all the other stuff surrounding that. It can get pretty complicated, but as a general rule of thumb, it's always good to see what your options are out there and how good they are. So as you can see here, I have got a somewhat customized but overall pretty standard KDE desktop. This is the desktop that the PC BSD distribution tends to gravitate you towards. It does say that it's working on another desktop called Lumina, I think it's called, and I've had a look at this sort of before making this video, and to me it doesn't feel as complete or polished in any way close to what you get out of KDE, and it does seem that this distribution is pushing the KDE desktop version of the distribution as their flagship distribution. So this is really what you most likely would pick up if you were looking to use PC BSD on the desktop. So I don't know how much or really how to review or give my first impressions of this distribution, because it does give you with a pretty standard KDE desktop with the means to add more applications and customize it in the way that KDE generally allows you to do so. So you get a pretty standard desktop there, and it works. It's got all the bells and whistles. You've got the you got Dolphin there. You've got the console. We can do the about KDE. So what KDE do we have here? Platform version 4.14.3. I can't remember off the top of my head how new that is. However, this is the latest version of PCBSD, which was brought out April 2016. So this is about as new as it's going to get, and they release a new distribution about once a year, maybe once every other year. So that's kind of the framework that you're looking at. Many people say that this is basically the Ubuntu of BSD. And I'll just show you the app cafe, which again doesn't perhaps look as polished as app stores from like GNOME and all that kind of stuff, but it looks like your pretty standard package manager, and then you can sort of install a few additional applications there. One thing I have found quite interesting about the App Store is that there is a decent amount of software selection available. In OBS Studio, which I found to be rather almost random in what distribution repositories it appears in, it appears in the it appears in the PCBSD repositories as standard, which certainly means that they're taking a wide net when it comes to the software included in their distribution. So if you were setting it up on a distribution, if you were setting it up on a desktop machine, I don't think you'd be short of software. I think there is plenty of software here. There's probably more software in the repositories of PCBSD than there is in many other smaller Linux-based distributions. So that is certainly something very positive, even if it doesn't come in the most polished of format. It's the software selection in the repositories is definitely very, very good. And just to prove it to you, I've actually got I think I might be playing with fire here, but I might be able to do a bit of recording Inception. I'm actually going to turn that off because I don't know what kind of problems that might cause for me later on down the road. But yes, you can definitely see that OBS actually works properly on it says here FreeBSD, but of course PCBSD is based on FreeBSD. So a little bit about PCBSD is that it's currently 47th on DistroWatch, as you can see here, with an average of 278 points per day. So that puts it, if I just pull up the old front page of DistroWatch here. DistroWatch, of course, doesn't really mean that much. It's really just a little bit of fun way to rank the distributions. Of course, you can see here Mint is at the top, which is 2 places higher than Ubuntu. We all know that Ubuntu is a more well-known and wider used distribution than Mint, but among people who are really interested in Linux distributions, then it's a bit more understandable that Mint might rise to the top, just because it's perhaps a little bit more interesting among OS enthusiasts. But yeah, so 47 it's down here. It's down here. So it used to be higher, FreeBSD. So it's right below SteamOS. So it's certainly not sort of out in the dust here. But it is, and then there's FreeBSD. FreeBSD, of course, can be used on the desktop. Might be the direction you'd go for if you wanted something super customizable. But PCBSD gives you a pretty decent out-of-the-box experience, and it comes with a reasonably well-developed wiki, but I wouldn't put it on a par with something like the Manjaro wiki or the Arch wiki or anything like that. But it's certainly, like, good documentation, of course, is a solid cornerstone to a good distribution. And then you've got it up here on GitHub. So, in terms of usability, I've got to say, as someone who distro hops quite a lot, I do find this distribution very easy to jump into, very easy to use, but I have only been using it really over the course of maybe the last week or so, a couple of weeks maybe, through a virtual machine. So I'm certainly not getting the full experience, and I don't know how easy or likely it is just to be able to install the BSD kernel onto a machine and have it run and work. It works fine in a virtual machine, but again, that is only to be expected. So it pretty much holds everything else that your standard distribution does. All your standard applications, you can get games, there's graphics, there's GIMP there. It comes with Conqueror as well, which I think is a pretty decent browser. It would be nice if there were more add-ons for it, if you ask me, but there you go. And it comes with all your standard utilities. These are really just sort of KDE standard. It comes with KeePassX, which is again very useful. That's what I use for password management. So, as a pretty avid Linux user that uses quite a wide spread of applications, I gotta say, I think I would be pretty satisfied using PCBSD if for one reason or another I couldn't or wouldn't want to use the Linux kernel. Maybe it took a turn in a direction I didn't agree with, or for whatever reason. Of course, it's more likely that Linux would get forked or whatever. But that aside, yeah, this is not bad. I mean, it's certainly not on a par with your Linux Mints, your Manjaros, your Ubuntus, or anything like that, I would say. It does seem to be a little bit rough around the edges in a way that just sort of impacts on the atmosphere of the user experience. Sometimes, there aren't exactly that many themes available in the App Store, which would be nice. Or, it'd be quite nice if there were more themes available, just installed out of the box, just to give you a bit more customization in options. That's not just for the KDE desktop. It seems that all of the desktop environments that you install with, it just gives you like the default theme and expects you to run with that, or expects you to be able to sort of pull your own theme down from KDE or gnomelook.org, which is not difficult and perfectly fine to do. But I feel just for user experience, I always like it when there's a decent amount of customized, visual and appearance customization options just out of the box. So, all in all, like I say, this is really only a first impressions video, which is why I don't like calling these types of videos a review. If you have a virtual machine and some time to kill, I recommend having a look at it. It's just, having a look at the other side of the fence, see what the alternatives are. I think I will be sticking for Linux desktop distributions for the time being, but it is nice to know that there are other paths and other options available out there for me. And I will certainly be coming back to BSD and running it in a virtual machine because it's promising. It shows a great deal of promise, a great deal of potential. What I've got here now is a workable operating system. The criticisms I am leveling against it really are only, like why it wouldn't be, or why I don't think it's suitable for mass adoption among people that aren't really OS enthusiasts. But I certainly recommend sort of people enthusiastic about Linux to give this a try, just to see what the alternatives are. It's pretty solid, it's pretty decent. I have not had any reliability problems, but again, you tend to have fewer reliability problems when you're running in a virtual machine. But that being, the KDE desktop, it doesn't seem like it's the newest KDE desktop, but it does seem pretty rock solid. So maybe that's a specific choice on the part of the maintainers. If so, well done. It's stable. It comes with all the modern conveniences, and it's got easy to install software and a decent software selection in the repositories. Very promising distribution. Very good distribution, in all honesty. To me, it really just comes down to the BSD kernel itself and how it competes and holds up against the Linux kernel, and whether or not that can be installed on, like whether or not you can just sort of reliably buy a laptop from the shop and then just whack on a BSD distribution. I feel reasonably confident that I could go down, that I could just buy just a random off-the-shelf laptop and install Ubuntu or Fedora on it, and have done many a time. It would be nice if I could do the same with BSD. So that's about it from me today. Give me your thoughts down in the comment section below. It's always good for other perspectives to collide. Thank you very much for watching, and let me know in the comment section below what kind of videos you'd like to see me do in the future. I'm quite aware that I've not really been doing much with this channel as of late, and I've been very busy with with other stuff and other projects. But now for the rest of the year, I really kind of want to focus on this channel and push out some really good content. I'm still working on trying to get a podcast together, but it is incredibly difficult to try and find people who are reliably available on the same time. So I might go into it on my own, or I might try and do mix up the video formats, mix up what I'm going to do. App picks, maybe throw in a few Linux games there. I'm seeing a great number of Linux apps just sort of being developed lately, so I'm probably going to be doing a fair number of app picks, but let me know if you've got any ideas. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Of course, and I don't do this very often, but if you've watched it this far in the video, I'd just like to make you aware that I do have a Twitter at ChrisWareDigi. I'll put the link to that down in the comments, in the description below. I do a lot of stuff when I'm trying out a new distribution. I'll sort of tweet a lot sort of as I'm going through it, so there can be a little, there could be a few more details that you find there that you might not in a standard video. And of course, this channel does have a Reddit, chriswaredigital.reddit.com, link of course down in the description below, and that's if you just want to just have a chat about anything vaguely related to anything I talk about on this channel. Hell, there's not really any particular rules over there, but if you've got any interesting articles that you want to share, or dank memes, then throw them up on the Reddit. So thank you very much for watching. That's about it from me today. Until next time, I've been Chris Ware, and you've been awesome. Take care now.